I see a scenario where home prices in Canada could drop 10% or more in 2025. What's going to happen with home prices in the Canadian real estate market in 2025? My 2024 predictions were spot on. So what do I think is going to happen in 2025? Hey there, and welcome back to Prairie Real Estate. My name is Matthew Pfeiffer, real estate agent in Regina, and that's my trusted assistant, Matilda. I'm not only going to give you my predictions, but also go over what the biggest real estate companies and banks are saying is going to happen in the Canadian real estate market in 2025, and a few of them I think are going to surprise you. But of course, let's start off with another one of my terrible bad dad jokes. If Forrest Gump started a property management company, what would it be called? New Tenant Dan. If you have a terrible joke I can use for your episode, put it in the comments below. Let's start this off rewinding 1 year back to January 2024 to look at some of the previous forecasts made by real estate companies and banks, see how accurate they were and whether they're trustworthy or not. Remember that most of these housing outlook forecasts get revised every quarter. As new information becomes available, they'll typically adjust their predictions, and they should as new information comes available. I just like looking back 1 year to see how close they got initially. The national average home price in Canada ended 2024 at $676,000. That was up 2.5%. Now let's see what the predictions were. TD forecast the home prices would be up 3%. They get a check mark on that one. RBC said home prices would be up 2%. Let's give them a check mark as well. The Canadian Real Estate Association said home prices would be up 4%. I'm giving them a half point here. They got the direction right, but they were high on their prediction. Royal LePage, which uses their own internal benchmark price, said that that would be up 5.5%. It ended the year up 3.5%. I'll give them a half point because they got the direction right, but they were high on their forecast as well. RE/MAX had the most conservative prediction, saying the home prices would be up 0.5%. They had the direction right, but they're a little bit low. I'll still give them a half point.
Wakey time.
Let's do a little bit of self-reflection and see how accurate my predictions were. I'm going to pull up my computer here so we can go back and look at it because honestly, I can't remember all of them. I also can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. I think it was chicken nuggets. Yeah, I think it was chicken nuggets. I'm expecting that there will be more homes sold in 2024 than there were in 2023. This was, I think, a fairly easy one, seeing as in 2023, sales were so low. They pretty much only had one direction to go. We also saw a fairly noticeable jump in sales in the last quarter of 2024. Outside of December, where sales were actually fairly sluggish. We will see more distressed sales, people having to put their houses up for sale. There's nowhere to put it. I got this one wrong. And honestly, I'm kind of disappointed in myself. I could have done a much better job in this prediction and explaining what I was thinking. It is interesting though to look at how I got this one wrong. You take a city like Toronto, inventory piled up to really high levels. And then in, say, Regina, my market, or other markets like Edmonton, Saskatoon, and even Winnipeg to some degree, inventory was really, really low. And it just shows the differences across the country. Regional markets have very different situations. The national stats, they're fun to talk about, but they're kind of useless. Looking at the national stats is always fun, but it also means that you could have a giant blind spot about the real estate market. As an example, home sales in Toronto in 2024 were near record lows, while in Regina, we saw the most number of homes sold in a single year ever. When you're buying a house in Canada, you need that local insight. If you're moving to Regina or buying your first house in Regina, I would be extremely happy to help you out. But if you're buying somewhere else in Canada, I've got a great network of real estate agents with that local insight. If you look in the description of this video, there's gonna be a link to my calendar where you can book me in for a call. I'm gonna learn about what's important to you and get you set up with that perfect agent from my network. When it comes to the hot markets, I think we will continue to see the prairies being the in-demand hot markets. The prairies were by far the hottest real estate markets in Canada. Maybe outside of Quebec City, they had a really strong market. A number of prairie cities set records for the most number of homes sold and all-time price highs as well in 2024. I think we're gonna see fewer housing starts this year, 2024, than we did in 2023. I think they're gonna be a fairly significant drop off in housing starts. I've got to take an X on this one because there was actually 5,000 more homes built in 2024 than 2023. And while a large percentage of those are purpose-built rentals because of all the incentive programs offered through CMHC and the government right now, I still got this one wrong. These Bank of Canada predictions are probably what I'm most proud of this year. January 24th, I think they're going to hold interest rates. March 6th, they're going to hold interest rates. April 10th, maybe a cut, but I think they're going to hold interest rates. June 5th is the first time I think the bank is going to cut interest rates. July 24th, I think you're going to cut interest rates. September 4th, I think they're going to cut. October 23rd, another cut. And they're going to finish the year December 6th with a final cut. All these at 0.25%. This was a prediction I'm really proud of. Not only did I almost perfectly nail the cuts, I was off a little bit. I didn't expect the Bank of Canada to do two 50 basis cuts at the end of the year, but I also got each one of the meetings right. Not only did I get the Bank of Canada cuts right, fixed rates dropped well below 4.5%. We're seeing about 4.2, 4.25 right now. Now, what I think is going to be the most likely scenario is that home prices either increase or decrease, and I can see either of those being likely this year, but I don't think they're going to change by more than 3 to 5% either way. The one thing I should have clarified in this video is that when I'm talking about home prices, I'm referring to the Canadian Real Estate Association's composite benchmark price, which ended the year down actually 0.2%. Meaning my prediction that the most likely scenario would be prices remaining essentially unchanged year over year ends up being correct. Now let's look at what the banks and real estate companies are saying about the Canadian real estate market for 2025. Please take all of these forecasts as entertainment only. Do not base your decision to buy or not buy a house on a forecast becoming correct. These are just educated guesses. Nobody has a crystal ball. TD's forecast has average prices up 8%. RBC says prices are going up 5%. The Canadian Real Estate Association says the average price is going up 4.5%. Royal LePage, of course, is using their own benchmark price. They're saying that's going to be up 6.5%. And REMAX says average price is going to be up 5%. I didn't include forecasts from a few different banks and economists that basically just said, we think sales and prices are going to be up without really putting a number to it. But overall, it seems everybody expects home prices in Canada in 2025 to increase. And now it's time to give you my predictions. I've got 5 of them this year. But first, we got to talk about a rather Donald Trump-sized elephant in the room. I didn't base my forecasts on some of the political rhetoric that's coming out of the upcoming president. Yes, we got to talk about tariffs. For these forecasts, I purposely did not factor in a potential trade war between Canada and the United States for a very specific reason. We're seeing a lot of political posturing on both sides of the border right now. And until that political posturing becomes actual policy, I'm not including it. Clearly, a trade war between the United States and Canada would be bad for both economies and our real estate market. I also cannot account for a major world event or a giant policy shift, like say the Bank of Canada raising interest rates 5% in 6 months. Should something like that happen, all bets, my predictions are off. My first prediction is that national sales numbers are going to increase again, but they'll probably still be below the long-term trends. Cities like Vancouver and Toronto I expect to continue to have very sluggish real estate markets, while the Prairies could very well set sales records again. My second prediction is that Edmonton, Saskatoon, Montreal, in that order, will see the largest year-over-year price increases in Canada, with the wildcard being Quebec City. That market had a very busy 2024, and it's one I'd like to cover more often in my monthly real estate market updates. Prediction number 3, the Toronto dog crate condo collapse. If you have been waiting on bated breath for a Canadian real estate market to come crashing down, well, it's kind of already happening in the Toronto condo market. That's a market I expect will continue to be soft. We've already got a lot of inventory right now on the market with a huge number of completions set to be turned over in 2025. And I have a feeling there's going to be a number of these reconstruction speculators who aren't going to be able to close on these and are going to be getting desperate to get them sold, dropping prices just to get them out the door. Prediction number 4 is all about interest rates. I think the Bank of Canada is going to drop its policy rate 1% from 3.25 to 2.25%. And now we'll go through each meeting. I'll give you my thoughts on what they're going to do. I am recording this video before any of these meetings have happened. January 24th, possibility of a 50 basis cut, but I think it's going to be 25. March 12th will be a cut by 25 basis points. April 16th will be a cut by 25 basis points. June 4th, another cut of 25 basis points. And then for the rest of the year, July 30th, September 17th, October 29th, and December 10th, they hold no changes. The last interest rate prediction I've got is about 5-year fixed rates. I think we will see those drop below 4%. And I'm not talking super specialty discounted rates. Major lenders offering a 5-year fixed rate below 4% at some point in 2025. My 5th prediction here, probably the one you've been waiting for, is all about home prices. What do I think home prices are going to do in Canada in 2025? And this is looking at the national numbers. I'm going to rank this in order of what I think is the least likely to happen to the most likely. What I think is least likely is home prices in Canada dropping by 10% or more. The next least likely outcome is home prices in Canada increase by more than 5% in the year. And then we come to what I think are the two most likely scenarios. I actually originally recorded this as a tie. I was sitting right on the fence, and then I kind of talked myself out of my own prediction and put one just a little bit ahead of the other. So coming in at the second most likely is that home prices end the year down a couple of percent, no more than about 3.5% down. And my most likely scenario is that home prices end the year up slightly, no more than about 3.5%. So I'm thinking at the end of the year, home prices in 2025 won't be that much different than they are right now, but I do think it's more likely they increase slightly than we see them decrease. And now I want to have a little fun and challenge you guys. Put your predictions in the comment section below, and we're going to look back on them when I make this video in 2026. And whoever's predictions end up being the closest, I'm going to feature you in next year's video. If you live or are in Regina, I'll take you out for Everyday Kitchen Donuts as well.